Thank you, Marcia. I'd just like to acknowledge the honorary people, and I just wanted to thank the Wawas who just left and for sharing their knowledge. I remember speaking here at the first Garma some time ago, and about being a Indigenous person studying law at the time. So that's a long time ago, and I remember not long after finishing talking right here, I took off and went fishing down at the outstation with some of the boys that I went to school with and played football with, and just picking up on some of the knowledge. I got a bit of a chastising by my other uni mates who I left behind, but the reality was I learnt a lot on that day of fishing in regards to, the connection of the people I went with, how they related to the land and the laws that, bind them to that land and to each other. And then I think that's, I did my degree in Darwin, and that was all about the need of someone who had children at a young age, but also coming from Darwin and on country and being able to study on country. So that was a reality of it, and so now being at a a G8 university like the Melbourne University is a really foreign place for someone like myself. Despite being a anti-discrimination commissioner and someone who's practiced law and worked on a royal commission, and those are some of the things that high-achieving Indigenous students who come to an institution like the Melbourne University, which is statistically the number one law school in the country and currently number 5 in the world. So it's it is really foreign for myself, and I wonder sometimes some of the stories I hear from the students that it is exceptionally foreign. And those are some of the, my role comes out of a review that was done by the Melbourne Law School on Indigenous programs, and who, they generally want to make change in this space, and so that position came about. Some of the recommendations are about curriculum. We've recently looked through the learning methods and research and embedded Indigenous knowledges and academia within those within that 2-week course on what students are to expect in the next 3 years that they study law. And previously there's in that course there's all these readings and that, and then there's these Indigenous readings, but they're basically highlighted. If you got time, read these. And but we've really embedded Indigenous content into that course, and now we're looking at the priestly 11s to embed Indigenous content into every one of those 11 subject units. The reality is there is some pushback, but overall the work is going ahead, and the Melbourne Law School is really leading that space. And I say that because the Council of Australian Law Deans came out a few years ago and said that the legal system is systemically racist, and so is the legal curriculum of this country. And unfortunately, they haven't yet implemented the review that was done, but through the push through the Indigenous Law and Justice Hub that I'm currently the director of, the law school has agreed that we should lead this space as the number 1 law school in the country. So we're currently trying to do that, and from all reports from the legal methods and research 10-day course, that students are really impressed and happy with the knowledge that they're learning and gaining, and the work that we did to provide the readings and the direction of how that should be taught is is going a long way in trying to win over some of our academics. So, but in saying that, so the Law and Justice, Indigenous Law and Justice Hub comes out of that review, and just a quick overview on that. So the curriculum is a major part of that. We also are providing, series around called White Noise, where we provide an avenue for black excellence to come in and talk about Indigenous content. Some of those that we've had thus far is someone like Larissa Brandt, Ronnie Gorrie, who won a Victorian Premier award for her book in regards to her being a single mother and a policewoman for 10 years. So we had her, and just recently the other night before flying up to Darwin, we had April Day speak about coronial inquest about her mother in Victoria and some of the issues that Indigenous families face whilst going through coronials, but also afterwards, and assisting other families and how we go about doing that. Those are well received. We've got people like Alison Whitaker coming next, and we got Rachel Perkins as well. So it's a diverse education process, but it's to show, the students that attend Melbourne Law School really don't understand where our people come from, and to really try and show some understandings and maybe learnings around empathy, humility, humanity, and some respect. And that goes a long way in regards to what we do with the law. Other things that we've been involved with of recent times is that there's been a matter at the High Court around Montgomery. Indigenous Law and Justice Hub was highly involved in engaging with the Indigenous community to intervene be an intervener in that matter. The National Native Title Council, with liaising with us, worked together. We assisted with providing submissions, and we just recently told the other day that Mark Dreyfus, the Attorney General, who's here today, withdrew that matter, and that's a really important matter for our people, because it's all about us and who we are as individuals, and our identity in this country, and really no one else can, particularly even the High Court, to adjudicate who's Indigenous and who isn't. So that for Indigenous people is a real big win, and that the Australian Labor government, for them to withdraw, it shows there may be some change coming. So that's something that we really look forward to. In regards to what Marcia said, 2 years ago, my former co-director was here at Garma, and unbeknownst to her, Marcia pulled her out of the crowd to talk about treaty. She was a little bit daunted, but from all reports, she gave a really good discussion, and Philanthropic was in the crowd and offered us some money to work with the Yolngu people. It's only early stages yet, but on our way through Darwin to come to Garma, myself and a researcher that works at the hub, we had a few meetings in Darwin with a judge, Jenny Blockland, the Legal Aid Commission, the Aboriginal Legal Service, the various other organisations who have work, whether it's directly involved with the law or that do wraparound services, just to be prepared that we want to come and discuss with them some of the issues that possible that the Yolngu people may want to do, because we don't pretend to know what the Yolngu people think, what justice they need. We want to talk to them. Through Marcia and others, we've spoken to some key Yolngu people, and we hope to be able to sit down in the future and start to work out what their importance are and do some research around it for them, and maybe provide some recommendations to possibly look for more research money to really do something that the Yolngu people actually want. And so that's what we've been doing to date. We have one other research project which through the Indigenous Knowledge Institute seed funding, which is another Melbourne Uni area that's pushing for more Indigenous content to be researched on and looked on. The Indigenous Law and Justice Hub, in conjunction with the POSH health stream in the university, looking at health justice. We're just starting that research, and we're looking at various models across the country and looking at what best works and deliver best outcomes for Indigenous people. The reality is, if we look across the country, we're 3% of the population and we're 28% of the prison population. If we're here in the Northern Territory, we're 32% of the population and we're 85% of the prison population. So, there's obviously a drastic issue in this country, and what I heard today from various Indigenous speakers is that they're tired of not being listened to. So that's the bottom line of our research, is that we want to listen, and we want to be collaborating with these people who understand their communities and what works for them and what doesn't work for them. So I just wanted to, again, thank the Yolngu people. I've had a long relationship with them, whether it be on Indigenous boards, playing sport with them, or just enjoying their country. And I just really great to be back on Territory country. So thank you, everyone.